think twice. Never thought that I'd have to fight your ridicule war. But if you insist, then just heed my advice. Oh, you will be held responsible as he's preparing his case. Yeah, legally responsible. Half Asian bull right in your face. For the life of me, I cannot decipher what made you think that this was wise and will never compromise. For the life of me, I cannot believe you try to ban us for these sins. Now meet my half Asian. And my friend, if you think that your legal team is better, just know there's at least one thing you can bet, that when my half-Asian lawyer takes the courtroom floor, think about it now, I'll be the voice inside your head that says you will be held responsible as he's preparing his case. Yeah, legally responsible. Asian bull right in your face. For the life of me, I cannot decipher what made you think that this was wise and will never compromise. For the life of me, I cannot believe you try to ban us for these sins. Now meet my half Asian lawyer takes the courtroom floor. He'll seem like he's nice, but you know that in the end he'll say it. You will be held responsible as he's preparing his case. Yeah, legally responsible. Half Asian bull right in your face. For the life of me, I cannot decipher what made you think that this was wise and will never compromise. For the life of me, I cannot believe you try to ban us for these sins. Now meet my half Asian. For the life of me, I cannot decipher what made you think that this was wise and will never compromise. For the life of me, I cannot believe you try to ban us for these sins. Now meet my half Asian. Now meet my half Asian. Now meet my half
We're going to give you some predictions here tonight, kind of go through what we think are the need to knows, and by that I mean none of it is really necessary. I guess not third chair, it's like a joint chair. Like he's like a Siamese twin growing out of my shoulder. Nick DiPaolo. We're growing MugClub. We're fucking growing MugClub!
Sanctimonious
is my primary care physician.
The Jimmy Neutron hairdo.
Oh, look, he fasted. And there he is, Mr. Ed's teeth.
Hey, Nikki Haley looks good tonight. But it is true that cable news is dying. Absolutely.
It is dying, and this is we talked about that up there. This is one of the first events where you're seeing them die, and Rumble and places like that are going to take them out. Yeah. Put the nail in the coffin, boys.
By the way, none of that checks out. 2 million early votes were cast. We are gearing up for 2024, which I believe is the most important election of our lifetime. Oh, glad to be back with you.
That's a slurp.
That is a slurp. I don't know if we're supposed to. People say they want me to keep it. I don't know. If you don't want me to do the slurp anymore, I don't
They
have to do
like
the
it.
slurp.
Yeah, they like
But glad to be back with you here. I was doing third chair a little bit last week because I had some other things to tend to. And then tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern, we're going to live stream the debate.
Yes.
The GOP debate number 2. Now, I would expect the debate to be somewhat boring, so our stream will not.
Yes.
Just to be clear, if you have to watch it, you can watch it along with us. But we have a lot to get to. But before that, of course, we have a This Week in Biden today. I don't know if you know this, but you are paying. We see a looming government shutdown. Mm-hmm. And that could happen. Which affects your life. Not a whole lot. But, if you want to go to like a national park, Yellowstone, your chances of being attacked by a bear go up slightly.
7%.
Especially if you're carrying a picnic basket or you put an apple pie on the windowsill. Now, we may face a shutdown, but at the same time, you're paying for Ukrainian salaries. $130-something billion now pledged. Another story that's pretty interesting on behalf of Indians, Native Americans. They're suing this group. Civil rights group is suing the Washington Commanders, formerly the Redskins, because they're not offended, but it turns out that white bitches were.
Again.
So this is a perfect example of the fact that white people are offended on behalf, white liberals, I should say, are offended on behalf of minorities. And they're like, oh, yeah, well, hold on, we're not with them. And then the Dallas mayor, who was a Democrat, has now become a Republican. That's a party switch. Want to know what you think about that? And when someone makes a switch in power, you can comment below. Are you skeptical that they're a wolf in sheep's clothing, or do you think that people just change their minds and they evolve, right? There are two schools of thought on that. I'm always cautiously optimistic. Number 2, Gerald, CEO. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm cautiously optimistic as well. I just don't know. I don't know. They're going to just get rid of this guy.
Riveting analysis.
I know.
I don't know.
I want to.
You want to stay? You want to stay with him?
Yeah, I'm just.
Is that your fun? You're going to stay with? I don't know. Wow.
I do know. How about this?
Yeah.
He's a Republican. He's been a Republican the entire time. It was a deep fake to get elected.
Really?
There you go.
You also just showed that you don't know what deep fake means. Now,
Dang it!
when you hear this in third chair, he brings a smile to all of our faces when he's here. Turns up the vibe.
Sort of.
Thursday, October 19th, he'll be at Summit City Comedy Club in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Gross. Thank you for your service. Josh _Firestine, how are you, sir?
Good. Fort Wayne's not gross.
Yeah, it is.
I'll say that I've been there before, and it just reminds me of a permanent fairgrounds.
Does it? Yes.
I think
After the rides have left.
Yeah,
like we're-
exactly. It's just trash and trash cans.
just a city of carnies. Yeah,
Yes.
and come see me, guys. We'll play Knock Over the Clowns together.
Yes, exactly.
It'll be fun.
October. You know they used to have actual 22 rifles, at those fairs.
Yeah.
Kids, they would do target with 22.
Yeah, some of them still do. I was at the fair this weekend in Washington State Fair, and I got to shoot a crossbow for a chance for a giant tiger. I didn't win it.
You didn't win the tiger?
No.
But you
I did
shot
get
a
giant
crossbow.
bear, but
You shot a crossbow, though.
I shot a crossbow. It's almost real, too.
Wow, good for you.
It was cool.
I played a game this weekend where they have like these throwing axes, but they're safe, so they're plastic that you can get at Costco.
What?
And I'm fantastic at it. I'm like, wow, this is an entirely useless skill. I spent all weekend because it's cathartic. I was like, if only I did this with darts or pool, I can. What am I going to tell people?
real
I'm really
axes.
good at the fake plastic axe throwing.
You shouldn't tell people that.
But it's a fun game.
I'm glad he didn't do the real ones. Those things can bounce back.
And by the way, I don't know. This show's going to go off the rails. I have a hunch today. So if at any point you're watching on YouTube, first off, hit the like button. But if you see this while you're watching on YouTube, head on over and watch it at Rumble, who, by the way, are under attack from the official UK government right now, and they've been short sold. Boy, hey, they go after the top creators at Rumble, right? Whether you like them. You go after Andrew Tate, go after ourselves, right? The hit pieces.
Yep.
And then you have Russell Brand. And then they go after the CEO of Rumble themselves. It's almost like it's coordinated.
It really seems like that. By the way, a lot of institutional money going into Rumble right now, so that should tell you something. Somebody may be just driving the price down so they can buy it on the cheap.
You mean going into short selling Rumble?
No. I mean actually going into buying the stock
into
of Rumble right now. So interesting plays going on here.
Well,
it's not just the market.
No, this is not free enterprise.
No.
So, all right, let's go, before anything else, let's go to this. Do we have the lukewarm?
Yeah.
This is, it's a TikToker on a feminist podcast.
Oh, jeez.
I just threw up in my mouth a little bit.
Why?
What's that phrase? TikToker, feminist
Oh. That's my favorite kind of TikToker.
Yeah.
I was.
Here they are making the claim that we need to stop fearing fatness in the lukewarm take of the week.
So many of us just absolute dread and fear the possibility of looking fat. Like, what about this? Like, what if
Too late.
it was okay to have our gut like come out a little bit? No,
I love that.
What if like guts like starting out are like pretty hot? But what if we didn't fear fatness the way we do?
Oh, please stop this stupid everything is. You know what? A BMI of 42 is just physically unattractive to me. You're fat phobic. How do you get over the phobia? Is it contact therapy, like with me with a spider, where I have to her muffin top? It's the most ridiculous shit. No. What you should fear is your heart giving up on you.
That's trying.
And by the way, can I just say, your gut sticking out a little bit was a long time ago.
Yes.
I don't know if you're advocating for other people. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying you're not describing the situation accurately, and that's not fair.
Yes. Your gut requires a crossing guard to redirect traffic.
Just stop.
What, are you afraid of it?
She can't move her arms like that, dude. It's more like...
I'm afraid of being smothered.
If you can't get over it by seeing it, like if you see a monster in the movies,
right,
and you're like, oh, this is terrifying, and then you finally see, for example, Leprechaun, and you're like, I'm the Leprechaun on the pogo. You're like, well, it's not scary anymore. Then, okay, it's a fear. It's an irrational fear. You can get over it. If you don't like something and you see it and it still grosses you out, it means it's not a fear. It means it's rational. It means like, oh, hold on a second. That's not even subcutaneous fat. That's visceral. That's surrounding your organs. Your body's trying to tell you something, namely that you're dying.
Hey, I was at the fair this weekend too. I promise you, 0 fat chicks are afraid of showing their belly. 0. They're proud of it, dude.
It's just everything is a fear. It's a way of shutting down doubt. Oh, it's fear. Well, hold on a second. Hold on. Black Lives Matter. I don't like the fact that billions of dollars. Oh, it's just hate. Everything they disagree with is hate or fear. And then they have a bunch of yes men, women, nose ring Z. Like, I love that. Do you? Do you love it? Do you actually love it? Do you love it? And by the way, find me one male sex symbol who's fat. Now, don't say, Chris Farley, don't say, they had to be immensely talented. There are no fat pride male models because we know that women aren't going to think we're beautiful. And just here's the ultimate point here. Young ladies, don't listen to these amoebas, okay? You're not going to live a happier life. You're going to live a shorter life, you'll die young, and you'll live a lonely life and an unhealthy life, riddled with health problems. It's not a phobia. Your doctor's not afraid of you getting fat.
He's concerned.
Yeah.
He's
got too many fat customers. Patience.
What do you think a doctor does with someone like this who walks in like, all right, sex, well, I'm non-binary.
Figures.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, look, it seems like maybe you could cut back on the, are you afraid of my fat? You know what? Just whatever. Do whatever you want. And you know what?
Yeah, seems like it's working well. Go for it.
I'm starving.
Eat 20 and call me in the morning. Or don't. I don't care. I don't care. They want you fat, dumb, doped, and broke.
Yep.
Just to be clear. Who's they? I mean, people in charge who want a completely placid society. Which brings us to, at this point, of course, the man, he's been at every mass shooting. He's been calling black men boy. And now his outreach for black voters has reached another level. This brings us to This Week in Biden.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
The two of the great artists of our time representing the groundbreaking legacy of hip-hop in America, LL Cool J. By the way, that man's got biceps bigger than my thighs. I think he's spent. And MC Light, both of you, thank you. Because they both have the light off on the mic, you know you're all here to listen to the new edition. Mike Bivens, 40 years producing music that lifts our souls. After every mass shooting, we hear a simple message. The same message all over the country. And I've been to every mass shooting.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
He's been to every mass shooting? Have you been to every initiation for the Van Buren boys?
Yeah, I'm not buying it.
But by the way, who the hell is MC Light? Is that a real? I mean, that's a real person. I know.
He mixed up MC Hammer and Gordon Lightfoot.
Well, he did say LLJ Cool J.
You know,
man.
She was like the first female rapper to have like a solo album go.
MC Light.
Something. Yeah. I didn't know who she was. I had to look her up.
Yeah, I know, exactly. But I don't think that's who he was talking about.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so either.
I don't think he has a clue.
No.
Has bigger biceps than my thighs. That's not hard to do. Your thighs are the size of ETs.
Yeah,
okay? Crippled.
We've seen him on a bike.
I've been at every mass shooting. By the way, again, the vast majority of mass shootings are gang violence, gang-on-gang violence. Just like when they try to say, it's the #1 killer of children. No, if you eliminate actually 15 to 19-year-olds, again, who are in gangs, largely people in inner city areas, the #1 killer of children, I mean, above guns, toasters.
But by the way, I thought his quote of calling a grown black man boy was going to be from the 80s.
Yeah.
And it's not. It was from that. I was like, did you just say that, boy? And I'm like, okay, you just can't get the racism out of Joe Biden.
Come on down here, boy. You're going to vote for me, boy? What? Come on, rude boy, can I get it up? What?
It's just so bad.
What should Joe Biden's rapper name be? I can comment below. I think MC shits his pants.
Exactly what I was thinking. We're in mind meld.
Do you have anything you can think of?
I don't. Bedazzled Biden? I don't know.
I don't know.
MC drops a deuce.
Yeah, MC drops. All right. Let's go on now to
little snooze.
Sorry.
That's good.
It's a little snooze X.
Sometimes it takes me a second. Sorry.
Instead of selling sneakers with blood in them, he just constantly walks around with a blood bag transfusion, like Mad Max. He has a blood person on his car.
It's just a guy with the IV in him. Just.
And you wonder where's the left? Remember, it was a comedic witch hunt when George Bush was president, and then when Donald Trump was president. No one out there really. I mean, I know you have people who are kind of on the right, and you have that sort of LA podcast scene from Joe Rogan, but like the Bill Burrs of the world, is there nothing?
Oh, there's so much
Not enough.
material here.
Dude, he said he was there at every mass shooting, right? Like someone has to take him aside and just tell him that, like, maybe you're not saying what it is that you think you're saying. Like, I was there. Shut the fuck up, dude.
That was great.
Right?
We should do an entire episode on comedy that they've missed.
I know.
Do impressions of the people for them.
Remember, every single time George Bush spoke, it was every comedian.
Oh, yeah.
It was like a hack off.
I feel like there's even more to make fun of now.
Yeah, of course.
Than there was back then.
And they just don't really touch on it. Like, I guess he's not the best president, but he's better than the other guy. No, he's not. No, he's not. Hit the like button if you don't think that this man is better than the other guy.
Any other guy.
By the way, the other guy we're talking about is a guy who created the best economy that we have experienced in our lifetimes, period, bar none, not even close. Even though you don't like his tweets. All right.
X's, posts.
Truth Social.
Well, that now. Yeah.
That now.
He's actually gotten better on Truth. It's pretty funny.
It is pretty
He's
funny.
got good stuff.
Yeah, he is. He's funny, dude. He does memes and stuff.
Yeah.
Speaking of memes, okay, so now some people are going to want me to call them like Native Americans. No. I'm not going to. Mm-hmm. But we need to talk about this. This is another example of white people actually co-opting culture to what white people do is when we talk about cultural appropriation, what we really experience from the left is offense appropriation. Like they decide to take offense for someone who isn't actually offended. That's why we do the segment, black and white on the gray issues.
You just didn't know you were mad yet.
Yeah, that's all it is.
That's basically what they tell.
It's just appropriation for what you should be. Like Taco Tuesday is offensive, and then the Mexican immigrants who are selling tacos on Tuesday in a sombrero are like, stop it. Cut it out.
Órale, Holmes.
Cut it out. You're scaring my customers. Taco Tuesday. Hey, arriba, right? Shut up. Have you been to a Chinese restaurant? Have you seen the decor? They don't care. So this goes to Native Americans. White liberals, they stole this piece of Native American culture, and now the Native Americans are fighting to get it back. Indians, Redskins, as they so don't mind being called, as we now know. So the Native American Guardians Association, you may have heard of this story last week, but there's an update here. They actually filed a defamation lawsuit yesterday against the Washington Commanders for, quote, delegitimizing the group and its efforts to restore the team's name back to Redskins. So just to be clear, the name was Redskins. Mm-hmm. Then white people said it was offensive. They demanded it be changed. It never actually came from the Native Americans themselves. And now they're saying that's actually offensive because you're removing something that we actually thought kind of made us look cool. Here's a clip.
Now, what do you want from this lawsuit exactly?
Well, we want monetary damages for the comments that the commander's employee made regarding NAGA. He called them a fake group to a season ticket box holder.
Where do things stand with your position on the name change and reversing the name back to the Redskins?
Well, I think it should be changed back to the Redskins. You know, the logo on the Redskins helmet is an actual person, is Chief Whitecalf. And so every time they go out on that field, they were honoring Chief Whitecalf, and they were battling on the football field with the same honor and integrity and courage. And they should continue to honor that. And
just to be clear, just so you know, let me skip ahead a little bit. This is something they would do with Native Americans, right? Redskins came from Native Americans. They would associate some notable body part or some notable action, then they would often add a color. So like, white calf, why, have you seen his calves? They look like they're cut from diamonds. He's got Mike Menser calves. We'll call them white calves.
He never goes tanning.
No, yes. Blue single dad. When he drinks a lot, he gets blue. I'll call him Red Nose Pops. How about that? So the history of the Redskins name, to give it was in 1769. There was a prominent tribal leader, Chief Mosquito. Again, these are the names they would use.
Chief Mosquito.
He referred to Native Americans as Redskins.
There you go.
And tribal members, they've even been participating in the Washington Redskins, their celebrations honoring Native Americans for a very, very long time. 90% of Native Americans are not offended by the name Redskins. 90%. You can't find 90% of people to agree on anything. You can't find 90% of people in the Democratic Party to agree on sex changes for minors, though you're pretty close. Mm-hmm. So what he was referring to is the NAGA lawyer, that's the acronym here, not to be confused, is referring to a text message from a commander's representatives to a luxury box season ticket holder, and it said, you understand that the people, the NAGA, the North American group, that started this petition is a fake group. Well, that's at 133,000 signatures, that's a mighty large fake group.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Meanwhile, Antifa is just an idea. It's not an organization.
They're not really
That's a fake group.
At all. No. I definitely understand that. Yeah.
They haven't had a problem with the idea of this is white people, largely white women who don't give a rat's ass about football. And by the way, while we're determining what should be, I'm surprised they haven't taken issue with the Washington's basketball team, the Washington Grand Wizards. That seems like it would be a layup when you actually think of.
Yeah, I don't think that was. Yeah.
They're on fire.
NBA Jam reference with Burning Cross. Good for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Don't let that jersey touch the ground. Hit the like button, whether you're on Rumble or YouTube. It helps with the algorithm. If you want to see the team change its name back to Redskins. And look, this is just one other example in a long line of examples of the left being offended on behalf of other people. Here's a silver lining. Just don't play along with it.
Yeah.
Don't go African-American, Latinx. No, none of it. Just continue with your life, and guess what? No one actually gets offended, except for white bitches with nose rings who think that you're afraid of fat.
They think you're afraid of it, so that's why they show it to you.
Yes, exactly. Look at it. You're afraid of heights? Get up on top of the Sears Tower. You're afraid of fat? Here's Lizzo playing Thomas Jefferson's flute with her ass. So, Rivers flute. Madison's flute. Admonish me. Madison's flute. I think it was Madison's flute, if I'm not mistaken. All right. Do you have the admonish button, Tim? Admonish me. It was Madison's flute, and she didn't play it with her ass.
That doesn't leave many options.
My daughter? Oh, no, the president.
So here's another example, right? The left being offended on behalf. So Latinx. Only 3% of Hispanics use that term. And by the way, I think that's very generous. Only 3% of Hispanics even understand the term.
Yeah.
Just to be clear.
Ginger Snap pissed me off when he was writing this story. He goes, Latinx? And I'm like, son of a bitch.
Most of the Hispanic people I know are very proud of
more
their culture.
offensive.
Yeah,
Yes,
Yeah, it
yes.
is more
They don't like being called. They don't like being called the wrong one. You
Yeah.
call a Mexican a Puerto Rican, or I mean, look at Gay William.
Oh, he's
fucking
Cuban.
hates
Oh,
Puerto
man.
Rican.
He
Yeah, don't
hates
make
Puerto
that
Rican. Can't stand it.
No,
also,
proud of it.
they come from Latin, the Romance languages. They're gendered, so these guys
Yes.
they don't have a problem with it. Like male, female. They don't have another category, let alone 57. Remember back in the day we used to joke about how Facebook had 57 possible genders.
Yes.
Now it's well into the hundreds.
Jeez.
And the answer from the left to all of it is yes. That's it. That's their only answer. So it's just yes. Okay, how about 97? Good enough for me. It's just like with
There's no
BMI.
Oh, did you hear the new genders dropped?
Oh, wow.
Who cares?
It's like an iOS update.
Yeah, you got to get one every year.
Yeah, and you hate your father. So Asian cultural appropriation was another one. I think it was Asian. Name that movie line, comment below.
I know it.
The mainstream freaked out when there was a supermodel. Her name was Carly Cross, not to be confused with Chris Cross. Kloss.
Kloss.
Sorry, Carly Kloss wore that kimono on a photo shoot. Okay, so of course, white people outraged. The Japanese, and I know you're going to say white, but they prefer the term yellow. They weren't offended at all when they saw foreigners wearing a kimono. Here's proof.
海外の人がこう着物とかなんか日本の文化取り入れてこういうことやってくれるのが普通に嬉しいなって思います。
海外の人が日本のやつ発信してくれるのすごい嬉しいです
ね。なんかもっとやればいいの。もっとこういうのが広まって。
すごい日本綺麗。
Pissed. Rioting
I
in
have
the
to go
streets.
back and sleep in opposite room of husband. It's a messed up culture, Japanese culture. Just to me, I get it. It's my sort of Western lens, but I do think that it's silly in a lot of ways. It's also very racist if you look at their tenant laws. But guess what? They don't care. They don't care about you wearing a kimono. At least they've moved past that.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of these things are silly and we make fun of them, but it actually distracts from actually getting work done in this space, right? You're like, oh, we're offended by statues, so we have to take them down, even though we think George Washington's probably a pretty swell fella. We probably want to keep that one up for history purposes at the very least. But then we changed, I think the mascot of the Indians changed from Chief Wahoo to something else recently, the Cleveland Indians.
Guardians.
I would focus, did it really?
Yeah, it's
they
the
went
Guardians.
that's the dumbest name. You should focus on playing baseball well first as a team. Same thing with the Washington football
They're
team.
losing the culture, but this is a perfect example. People say, oh, cancel culture, it's accountability culture. Do you have any idea how much money that costs the football team to change the stadium, to change the jerseys, to change the ads that go out there? It's the same thing with, you have any idea how much it costs for them to have to change a photo spread, for them to have to change, I don't know, go back and retroactively change books? Or if you look at Facebook, you look at YouTube, you have to change your content and the guidelines. And just for us, where we have to go back and change and re-upload videos because there are new rules. So yeah, sure, they're losing the culture war. The left is losing the culture war. This is why when people say culture war, silliness. No. Without culture, you cease to have a society. That's why they want to destroy culture. It's why they want to destroy the family. They are losing, but it's a shakedown. It costs you a bunch of money. Now, this is something that's veiled, right? Because people go along with it. They're being complicit because they're being pressured by some shareholders or by some people on a board. And then sometimes it's blatant, like people shaking down Rumble right now, which, by the way, huge way to support Rumble. Join MugClub. MugClub is Rumble. Rumble is MugClub. LouderWithCreditor.com/MugClub for $89 annually. You get this wonderful hand-etched mug. You get our show. You get a full other hour of show. If you continue on MugClub, you get Alex Jones on Fridays. You get our Friday show. You get the Hodge Twins. You get Brian Callen. You get Mr. Guns and Gear. We're going to be adding more and more. And all of Nick DiPaolo, every day, 5 p.m. And it's all under one umbrella that is still part of Rumble. So sometimes it's a blatant shakedown, and then sometimes it's a shakedown with peer pressure. It's like sometimes, you get a cigarette shoved in your mouth and you're told to smoke the whole pack like my dad did. Which is when I started liking cigarettes.
Mission accomplished.
And then sometimes it's the peer pressure of, if you're one of us, you'll take a smoke. Or me in Michigan, it's like, if you're one of us, and they give you cools.
Ew.
Whereas in Austin, it's all American spirits because it's organic tobacco. So they're losing, but the problem is they only lose once the truth comes out. That's the reason for the show, is that the truth can come out beforehand before you make a mistake, like changing an entire team to Redskins. From Redskins.
From Redskins. Nobody cared.
I think we got suspended one time on YouTube because I said Redskins.
Did we really?
They don't mind the term.
Nobody cares. Just be good at football, which you haven't been for a long time. That's all anybody cares about.
But the people in power care. That's the problem. The people who can leverage these companies care. The American people don't care. And the Redskins themselves don't care. They're too busy drinking Windex.
That's so much true.
Then there was that girl that wore a kimono as a prom dress like a couple years back, and
tons of outrage on Twitter. Like, dude, it's just a prom dress.
We started this in 2015. That's why we started Cultural Appropriation Month every June, because we're going, no one actually cares. And the only people who cares are Media Matters or someone like that, where they launch some hit piece.
I have an idea. Fine.
What?
You want to take your culture back? You take every single bit of it back. Give us democracy, free speech, and all of the Western values that have been fantastic, that have shaped the world and made your life better, back.
Yes. Hey, I want my culture back. The United States. So how about this? We're the greatest country in the world. We never lose a war. Low taxes, First Amendment, Second Amendment, and men are stronger than women physically, and women are better at rearing children. There's the culture that I like here in this country. Black, white, yellow, or Redskins huffing paint. Now, let's go on to a shitty culture.
What color paint?
Red! Of course it's red, Josh!
Oh, it's white to paint their calves.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, no, just one guy can do that. Just one guy. Yeah.
Oh, is that white calf? No, that's taupe brachialis. He does hammer curls.
He beat out Chief White.
The bicep is to supinate, but he has big forearms. As a bodybuilding Redskin, I don't know. The calves are the hardest place to add mass.
I'm sure they had one. You know they did.
I added mass to my calves. How?
Was it Cherokee volume training?
Yeah. They also had a vegetarian as well. They're like, what's this guy?
Did you go with Iroquois high intensity?
It sounds like Native American My Pillow guy.
You're going to love my calf.
Oh, yeah.
All right. We make the best drums. So speaking of crappy cultures, and by crappy, I mean inferior. Ukraine. I think it's a crappy one. I don't like it.
That's very corrupt.
Is it okay?
I think it's fair.
My opinion has never changed since the beginning of this. It's one crappy country, Russia, fighting another crappy country, Ukraine. To act as though any of them exist in any world where they provide anything else to the world aside from maybe some crops is silly. They're corrupt. They can't be trusted. They should just let's break off the pool cue, let them have tryouts. I don't care anymore. So if your government shuts down next week, right, which you're told is the end of the world, and it never is. However, B, test this, right? What rules for thee don't apply to me? And in this case, me is Ukraine. You don't need to worry about Ukraine. Your government will be shut down, but they'll still be getting all of the money that they want and ask for funded by you.
The Department of Defense says aid to Ukraine will continue even if there's a government shutdown. The decision was announced Thursday, the same day Ukrainian President Zelensky met President Biden in Washington. Now, this means training of Ukrainian fighters to pilot F-16 fighter jets will not be interrupted. Ukraine is also scheduled to receive U.S. Abrams tanks.
Thank God.
Can't we just send Stacey Abrams and be done with it?
She's a tank.
I don't know. I don't know if they're fatphobic over there in Ukraine.
They could be.
No.
Right. Don't want to do that. Well, that's the purpose. You scare them and you win.
Yeah, well, I guess it's an intimidation factor. Yeah. The good news, by the way, is Zelensky, though, he's been earning the extra billions of dollars from us. He's really been putting in that overtime. The Ukrainian sense of humor is different.
A little bit.
That was supposed to be funny?
It was his wiener.
Oh.
Yeah.
I did.
Wiener piano.
So here's the thing. During government shutdowns, all military activities are supposed to stop unless it's a threat to, national security. Like in 2018, the Pentagon kept fighting ISIS. Which that's understandable.
I get it.
ISIS.
Bad people.
Death to the Western world entirely. I don't know how much of a threat they are to us at that point, but the Pentagon kept fighting them.
Okay. Fine.
And the defense secretary, by the way, has the authority to make that decision. And this is one of those situations where I guess a threat to our national security is Ukraine. This is the narrative that they want to set, just to be clear. That if we don't help Ukraine and if we don't fund them to the tune of $130-something billion, our national security is at risk because Russia. And of course, you have people who are upset. The average American taxpayer, a lot of people are protesting. Even ghosts are coming out of the woodwork.
Well, the cash starts coming and it don't stop coming. All the rules keep the war machine running. Big guy covers up the plot for his son. The crack in the hose make your head get dumb.
So here's the thing. We had that, and then unfortunately the man passed, and we were like, well, 2 weeks is enough time to...
Yeah.
I think we really...
I think so.
It wasn't mocking Smash Mouth. It was
fair.
just, we were just like, man, it'll maybe make people sad.
There's other guys in the band, too.
Yeah. We have so many things in the hopper that we just will never use.
Yeah.
So this comes now, just to be clear, in tandem with a 60. And by the way, we'll also, I don't know if you know this, BlackRock's involved here. They get a lot of the money. That's always a lot of fun. Wow. So this comes in tandem with a 60 Minutes report showing that American taxpayers are not just paying. Again, this isn't just military for Ukraine. So in other words, in the United States, if there's a government shutdown, our military has the right to continue fighting for national security. However, as it applies to Ukraine, it doesn't even necessarily need to be funding military activity, just salaries of people in Ukraine.
American taxpayers are financing more than just weapons. We discovered the US government's buying seeds and fertilizer for Ukrainian farmers and covering the salaries of Ukraine's first responders, all 57,000 of them.
Oh, great.
That includes the team that trains this rescue dog named Joy to comb through the wreckage of Russian strikes looking for survivors.
That dog has a paycheck?
Yeah.
Yep, $9 million.
The US also funds the divers, who we saw clearing unexploded ammunition from the country's river.
That doesn't look like much of a river to me, by the way.
Just to be clear, in total, the United States has pledged $135 billion in aid to Ukraine. $135 billion while you may be looking at a shutdown. Here's how one Ukrainian lieutenant justifies all of said dollar bills.
Some Americans say we're very sympathetic to you Ukrainians, but we're going through tough times at home and we just can't afford to keep on supporting you.
Ukrainians pay their lives. And
we pay for your lives.
Yeah. I believe and I hope that their lives cost much more than money. Much more than taxpayers' money.
Well, hold on a second. Come on. Do our lives? Are our lives worth more? This is what they do, right? They do the same thing with gun control. If it saves one life, but what if it takes hundreds of thousands of lives each year because of defensive uses of firearms?
Right.
I would hope Ukraine lives are worth more. Well, hold on, what about American lives? There are plenty of Americans who are starving. There are plenty of Americans who don't have homes. There are plenty of Americans who are being kidnapped and being put permanently into sex trafficking, of course, as we know with the cartels and what's happening with the open border. This is one of those talking points where it shuts it down, right? Just like fatphobic. Well, we pay with our lives. Oh, I guess I better not say anything because he invoked death. Now, to give you an idea, the United States, we have sent 6 times more than any European country with $135 billion. So Germany is next with $23 billion, a lot less than $135 billion as far as what's totally pledged. England, $15.2 billion. France, $1.8 billion, who really just doesn't get to be a country anymore as far as I'm concerned. And this makes you understand the context when you look at the NATO contributions. We're all supposed to pay in at least 2%, right, of our GDP. The United States, 3.5%. England, 1.5%. Germany is the next one, 2.2%. France, 2.01%. So this is the problem with the UN. This is the problem with NATO. This is the problem with this war. When people say we have to go and defend Ukraine, what they really mean is more money from the United States, please. And you never get to stop paying taxes, but your government might shut down.
And then they can throw shade at the United States and say that we're imperialists and they hate all of our policies. They hate what we're doing. We're racist. By the way, can you make sure that you keep funding this war, please, so that we don't get taken over? We're the only reason you still exist,
right?
European Union. I'm sorry. All of those countries in Europe right now, there's a reason that NATO was formed. There's a reason that you guys were scared crapless because you had 100 years of war from one particular part of that country right next to you, Russia, coming after you.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of gratitude is in order at this point. Maybe carrying your own weight is a little bit in order at this point.
You think I should be grateful? I think you should be down on your fucking knees.
They should, but not for that.
I'm doing this for nothing, you little... So, question for you. Where do you think the money is really going? Comment that below. And hit like if you're sick of Europe free riding off of America. I don't like Europe. That's why we left. Now, according to a new CBS News report, American officials are now investigating 4 criminal cases involving non-military aid, and 170 Ukrainian government officials, including high-ranking military officers, have been charged in corruption cases so far this year for crimes like embezzlement and accepting bribes. You'd think that might have something to do with Hunter Biden, but of course, who knows at this point?
170 government officials?
Yeah.
Wow.
I thought it read 4 at the beginning, and then it was like, wait, you buried the lead. It's 170 officials,
government officials. Now, imagine where those branches go out. Imagine where those capillaries. How many businesses do you think those governments are involved with? And who's set to benefit from all of this? Just to be clear, BlackRock. They're setting up a bank to finance Ukraine's reconstruction. McKinsey, JP Morgan are also involved in the project. That means consulting, which means, toss a few billion more dollars my way.
It's free. Out of the goodness of their hearts. This is pro bono, right, JP Chase?
Right. Yes, it's pro bono. Right. So BlackRock, the same people buying up single-family homes here in the United States, who Elizabeth Warren, Mrs. Socialist herself, said, these are too big. BlackRock's too big to fail. So again, you'll never stop paying taxes, but they'll receive a bailout if they ever go under, if there's a housing market crash, for example, that they've created. And they're the ones who stand to gain from the perpetual war machine. It's not that Americans are against a fight. Americans love Patton. Americans love MacArthur for a reason. Americans love George Washington. It's that there has to be a fight that is righteous. This is not a righteous fight because there are no righteous people involved, and It is not our job. Fighting the British, obviously that's something that made sense. We wanted to have a country. Tea in the harbor was kind of a big deal. If you look at World War II, okay, you understand at that point Pearl Harbor. That was the catalyst for us getting involved. We believe in a fight. There's no reason for us to be involved in this fight. And let's also go through the math here. $135 billion that we've pledged to Ukraine. What could we do with it? We could build 6 border walls. We could fix Flint's water system 215 times over. We could give every single homeless vet $2 million in cash. And by the way, I'm not saying that we do these things. I'm just giving you some context.
Well, you could do.
We could provide I know he didn't visit for a couple of weeks, but we could provide an actual $50 million check to every family in Maui. 2,700 households would be eligible. Wow. So that's right there, just what you could do with this $135 billion.
I think this is a good time to jump in.
Sam, how long have you been sitting there? We're in the middle of a show.
Come on, Sam. What's the deal? Come on.
Well, as you know, the IRS has been hiring new agents at an alarming rate.
Yeah, okay, Sam, what does this have to do with anything while you're in the studio?
As your HR representative, it's my duty to look out for you all. If any of your viewers owe back taxes or have unfiled returns, Tax Network USA can help you out. Even if you haven't filed for 10 years.
Sam, look, I noticed that you're good with like state capitals, but you're not the most literate of the tribe. Is this an ad? Are you reading an ad?
Yes, it is.
Oh my gosh.
Why are you doing an ad? I'm the one who's supposed to do ads here on the show.
Well, because I get commission.
You're getting a commission. Okay, that makes sense.
But that's not the important thing.
That is the important thing for you.
The important thing is, as I was saying, the IRS is well on their way to hiring their target 87,000 new agents.
Yeah, we know.
Get all the help you can get. They've already saved their clients $1 billion in back taxes, and Tax Network USA also offers bookkeeping. Stephen, that's great, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is great, Sam. Thank you. Are you done? Are you done,
I'm
Sam?
done.
Okay, so what I was saying.
Go to taxnetworkusa.com/Crowder.
Okay, Sam, we get it. All right, Sam, we get it.
Be sure to use the /Crowder so I can get my commission. Toolman, can you please bring up the overlay?
Okay, all right. That's enough, Sam. Get out. Get out.
Jeez, the nerve.
Crowder, please.
No,
okay, that's right. TaxNetworkUSA.com/Crowder.
Look, the guy's got a lot of nerve, but it is an
you know what?
service,
I get the commission. That's not supposed to go to Sam. He does make a good point, though, Joe. Can we check him out after the show?
Yeah. I already got a note. So
I haven't paid taxes in years.
Really? Shouldn't admit that on air.
Allegedly.
I don't want to fund. I don't want to fund Ukraine.
I think it's fine.
All right, this seems like it's right up Gerald's wheelhouse right here. What is it?
Why is it up my wheelhouse?
What is the URL? Just so it's taxnetworkusa.com/crowd. They're pretty good at saving people money, though. I will say they called us and they're like, "Hey, here's this thing that you missed." We're like, "Oh, wow, that's a dinner out."
Whoopsies. That's several dinners for all of the Ukrainian first responders out.
Yes.
So Democratic mayor
in Dallas actually flipped parties.
He did. His name is Eric Johnson, and he switched officially, right?
Yes,
from Democrat.
Just got reelected, I think, at the end of last year.
And just to be clear, again, my question to you is, what do you immediately, did your eyebrows go up and go, hold on a second, I don't trust this guy?
No.
Anytime somebody flips from being a Democrat to a Republican, I'm like, were you really? Like, I need to look at your policies and wonder why you were a Democrat. That's a big bridge to cross. Like, I don't know how people do that well. So we'll see if this guy, but he did switch his affiliation, and it's caused quite a stir because Dallas, big blue city, a big red state.
All right, we have a clip.
Dallas Mayor Eric Johnson says he is switching parties, making the city of Dallas the largest in the country run by a Republican. Fox 4's Blake Hansen live tonight with more on what the change will mean and some reaction to it. Blake.
Stephen, making the switch, Mayor Johnson said he understands the decision will surprise many, but it is not a shock to many who closely follow politics.
I don't wear a tie because I think my suit suffices. I don't know.
We actually have a clip, by the way, of the press conference that he actually held.
Oh.
I'm not gay no more. I am delivered.
Well, see, that makes me like him more.
Yeah, absolutely. Very fervent.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Even hit the drum on that.
Yeah. So the Texas Democratic Party didn't take the news well. They said, given his long-standing affinity with Republican leaders and ideology, like when he cozied up with longtime podcast host Ted Cruz at his inauguration this year. I don't know. I don't think that podcast host is his primary title.
I don't think it's his top kind of credit. Maybe senator.
Moonlighting as a senator.
Yeah.
They say this announcement is neither surprising nor unwelcome. In other words, that's you can't fire me. I quit.
Yeah, we didn't want you anyway.
We didn't want you anyway.
That's why we supported you in your last race.
Good riddance. Well, you're still mayor and now you're a Republican? Son of a bitch. We didn't think this through.
You could just switch?
Yeah, you could just switch?
Apparently so. You're like, use their money to get elected.
Is there a rule against that? I just want, I need to run for office, collect all of the Soros money.
There you go.
And then just switch.
Oh, wow. Well, I think it's going to be hard to convince him that you're on their team now.
What I'll do is I'll go in and I'll say I was living a lie. I'm actually a woman.
Oh.
And
that'll be
when they say, well, there's all this evidence that you're not, I'll say that was all a cry for help, right? That was clearly a cry for help.
Not true.
I was repressed.
None of this.
I'm actually a woman, and I would like to run for Senate as a woman, and I would like some money. And Sir also say, and I'll say, oh, thank you. And then I'll become
I mean, he can't argue with you.
Just take all of his money.
You have
and
to
run
accept
off.
it. I mean, I think you're in a good position for this, but
comment below if you guys ever want me to run for. The only way I would ever run for office is if it was a total kamikaze run. It's
got to be a gag.
Where they bring up like, hey, did you in fact say this? I go, I don't know. Sounds like me.
Running for mayor of McCheeseville.
Yes.
Great.
So he wrote in the Wall Street Journal, he explained why he switched parties, and he made some claims about cities and how he wants to run Dallas differently. So we'll actually go through this now. We'll make all the references publicly available with our sort of claims in his article and the truth. So here's a claim that he made. He said that Democrat leaders have failed to keep cities safe. And one of the quotes is, he said, mayors and other local elected officials have failed to make public safety a priority.
How dare he?
And this is good because he's actually writing in his op-ed all of the reasons, right? Reasons that can be fact-checked. So I think that's a step in the right direction.
I agree.
And the truth...
that's actually right.
That is correct.
Yes, it is correct.
Yeah. Violent crime...
Normally you see it switch, but no, in this case, he's just right.
Violent crime has been ravaging the big cities of America now.
Chicago police say there were 75 shootings across the Father's Day and Juneteenth weekend. 13 people were killed. The violence happened on almost every side of town, including the Bucktown neighborhood.
This is just normal. We see this stuff all the time. I've become so accustomed to it. I don't even think about the fact that it's not right. It's crazy.
Just this weekend, John caught a shooting on one of the many security cameras he has set up outside his home. In it, you can see a man shooting a gun multiple times in the middle of an intersection as people and cars go by.
Good footwork.
We hear guns
He's not
shooting
even
all the
hiding.
time. There's people living in their cars, trash all over the place, needles everywhere.
Alarming numbers from the Seattle Police Department. 2022, the highest rate of crime on city record in 15 years.
Well, do you feel safe in Seattle?
No,
And why is that?
there's just too much going on the streets.
Naked bike rides.
Yeah, exactly.
No, he wants
no
more of
seats.
those.
No seats.
Tandem bikes, no seats. That's the solution. Everyone knows the solution to city crime is tandem bikes with no seats. So to give you an idea, look, if leftist policies worked in big cities, they would be utopia. I started doing sort of super videos on location videos back in 2010 where I did Detroit in ruins, and I covered A to Z everything that happened in Detroit. Was the wealthiest city in the country in the 1950s, and it didn't accidentally become a crap hole. That was because of far left government intervention. And by the way, a ton of money pumping into it. So violent crime in cities from 21 to 2022. New York City was up 22%. Chicago was up 41%. Austin in 2021 experienced the highest murder rate in decades. Of course, a liberal mayor there who, by the way, called the mayor of San Francisco to determine how to deal with his homeless problem. He was on the Joe Rogan show to talk about that.
No. How do I make it worse?
Yeah, exactly.
Please tell me.
It's like the Commanders calling the Guardians for advice.
Yeah.
I don't understand the sports reference.
All right.
I assume they're bad, right?
Well, they're both the Indian thing.
Oh, okay. Now I remember. Redskins. That's the memory trigger. Redskins. Yes. So in Austin, though, here's the thing. So highest murder rate, and you'll say, yeah, but then it went down. Sure, in 2023, after state troopers were brought in. So that means Abbott had to be involved, and he's a wheelchair guy. Now, violent crime in Dallas is actually down, which kind of surprised me.
Yeah.
So do you think that American cities can be saved? You can comment below. I don't know that the idea of major cities really functions today as they used to. I mean, I think you'll probably have more mid-sized cities. I don't know. It seems like a lot of people out there, even if you want to be in this, you don't want to really be in New York or Chicago or LA anymore. It seems like you have cities like Grand Rapids, Austin at one point in time.
Yeah.
But there are places in Iowa, I guess, that people are saying, yeah, it's like a mid-sized city that has what you need, but it's not suffocating. I'm thinking that that's going to be sort of, if nothing else, the blueprint for urban planning going forward. If they do it, just these giant mega cities, even leftists don't seem to want to be there.
It's a blueprint for survival too. Like I would never feel safe in the middle of it. And I very rarely in my life feel unsafe, right? In most situations. But walking downtown is with kids, with a wife, no way. There's no chance that I would feel safe.
Well, you're a giant, so by yourself, you're likely very safe.
So that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't feel safe in these places.
Here's another claim that this mayor who just switched parties makes, and all the references are available at lighthouseclear.com. He said that the left has failed at developing their cities. He said most of these local leaders are proud Democrats who view cities as laboratories for liberalism rather than as havens for opportunity and free enterprise. Now, that's something that could seem to be subjective, but here's the truth. When you look at the results, right again.
Yeah, he's right again.
If you look at leftist policies and what they've done to quote-unquote urban centers, it's ruined them.
Markellos and his mother own this 10-unit Lincoln Park apartment complex. Last year's tax bill for all 10 units combined was $23,674. But now look at this. The same 10 units are now $128,282 this year, up 440%.
The Old Navy closure is just the latest in a string of San Francisco retailers that are closing on Market Street, including the Westfield Center's Banana Republic and Nordstrom, as well as Nordstrom Rack and Anthropologie. Across the street from the Westfield Center, the entire block is empty storefronts.
It's not related to COVID. It's because we have a criminal environment that's tolerated and allowed to flourish here.
And by the way, when people talk about the American dream being dead and they talk about housing prices going up, they're largely talking about big cities, areas run by leftists who, by the way, these are the places that are supposed to have quote unquote affordable housing. You know where you can actually still get relatively affordable housing? Move out toward the country.
Yeah.
Drive to the suburbs, then keep driving. The American dream is still alive and well, especially if you can work from home for a couple of days or you're willing to make a 45-minute commute. So these places that help the poor, that help the downtrodden. Hey, hold on a second. Let's think about the left, right? Eco-friendly, right? They're supposed to help the poor. They're supposed to eliminate biases, right? Racism, prejudice. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you think of big cities, cities like Chicago or cities like Austin or cities like San Francisco, do you think of clean, eco-friendly, affordable cities where everyone gets along across racial boundaries and ideologies?
Nope.
You have to drive 100 miles out to a church to find that.
Yeah. You know what actually helps in these situations? I don't know. Jobs.
Yes.
Good jobs.
I thought you were going to say Godzilla.
No.
That too.
Well,
he tore up San Francisco.
He's that final call. Now I understand why he's coming. So,
it's just more like a reset that he does.
Yeah.
Godzilla.
Like, let me burn this thing down. We'll start again.
And by the way, pro-business policies, they've led over to over 200 companies relocating to in and around Dallas. Just to give you an idea, just from California, Toyota, State Farm, Liberty Mutual.
Yeah. Huge.
They want to live in America.
Yes, exactly. They want to live in America.
Come to Texas. You want to live in America.
And then they come here and they bitch about, well, I like Texas, but it's not as progressive.
Keep that.
Your progressivism destroyed your job. Mm-hmm. Go back there. I don't really want to go back to Torrance. Then shut up and consume your freedom.
Yeah. And vote conservative.
Eat your freedom.
Now.
Eat your freedom or you don't get your Second Amendment.
I'll take 2 bowls of freedom, please.
Exactly.
You know me.
Yeah.
I'm going to force feed you freedom until you get gout. Now, here's another claim that this man makes, the mayor of Dallas who switched parties. He says that Democrats value virtue signaling over problem solving. We talk about this culturally, but as a matter of policy.
Yeah, he's calling them out.
This is a quote. And too many local Democrats insist on virtue signaling, proposing half-baked government programs that aim to solve every single societal ill and on finding new ways to thumb their noses at Republicans at the state or federal level. So we know that this is true, of course, as we just saw with the Redskins, commanders, scalpers. But is it true?
Grand Wizards.
On a policy level? Here's the truth. Yes, he's correct yet again.
We have a brand.
Like Black Jesus, boy.
New York has a brand.
Some THC, CBDs.
It means something. Kansas doesn't have a brand.
To the people of the Southland, yeah, the people.
Well, you know what? But New York has a brand.
That was weirder than I knew it going
They just
in.
ran with that one.
I love it. What's this beef with Kansas, man?
I know.
I don't know. They're white.
They're just minding their own business, getting tornadoes and midgets and stuff.
Tornadoes.
It's, you know what New York is? New York City? It's the biggest city in the world filled with rednecks. People don't realize they're just big city rednecks. They don't know what it's like to have a car, to drive somewhere else, to enjoy freedoms. I used to live in New York, and I hated it. I always hated it.
Yeah.
And they say, well, you know, the thing about New York is it's so convenient. I go, what?
Yeah.
To who?
When I would have to go down to Fox News, and I was living on somewhere around like 77th, what they called Yorkville, right? 77th and past 2nd Avenue. So it's so I go, I have one subway line, and it's usually full, so it goes right past me. If I were to drive in my car, it would be a 6-minute drive anywhere else in the country, but it takes me at least 35 minutes if I don't just have to say, screw it, get out of the subway station and walk anyway because there's no cab available. They think it's convenient because things are close. I've never had so much so close and completely out of reach. A lot of people in New York don't know what a price looks like outside of their city. They don't know what transportation looks like outside of their city. They don't know what infrastructure looks like outside of their city. They have no idea. It's more like a third world market with barkers. People don't realize that. And in New York, they take this, we have a brand. Yeah, well, guess what? Your brand sucks. You're New Coke of cities.
Pepsi Crystal.
Wow.
Yes.
Ooh, yeah, that was bad too.
You are the Zima of municipalities.
Can I just ask a real quick question here? I know we have to move on. We're going a little bit long here, but just go back up to his quote that he said, the reason, right above there where we have it. So he says right here, all of these things, Democrats insist on virtue signaling, half-baked government programs. Why were you one then? Did you just figure this out?
Yeah.
Like you have, you're saying all of the right things right now, but this is so obvious that it's not like you had an aha moment. There was no flash of genius here. This was just you kind of playing politics.
I will say, and you get this a lot with Texas, even the Republicans, where they're not super conservative either. They're kind of entrenched, where the Republicans can be pretty damn moderate, and the Democrats can be pretty damn moderate. And so they end up just kind of clustering toward the middle, and that's what gives me pause.
It does.
I want to give them the benefit of the doubt because I know people do switch.
I'm trying.
People, they feel a certain way, they believe a certain way, and then that line right there, the half-baked idea line, that makes me think it's real because he was tired of sitting there having ideas, never having to come through. Other people having ideas, supporting them, never going through, never working.
Yeah, I think I hope so. I hope so. It needs to be, what's your flash of genius moment, which is when did you officially realize, okay, this can no longer work? Right. So Mayor Johnson also said that the overwhelming majority of Americans who call our cities home deserve to have real choices, not quote unquote progressive echo chambers at City Hall. But the real reason we think that he changed parties, or at least the primary reason, is he got sick of the liberal city homeless washing his windshield with bum piss. And by the way,
it's a good arc.
You guys may not remember this. During COVID, I did a walk and talk with Alex Jones.
Yeah.
It's not a joke. It is an actual epidemic, the bum piss epidemic. Here's a clip from back then if you missed it.
Bum piss is bad enough. I think bum piss is worse than dust mites. You have dust
I'm
mites
allergic to bum piss. I'm serious.
Oh, you need some water?
Oh my God. I'm serious. I smell that shit. I can't do it.
It's worse than Yakuza.
That's bad.
He was like, they're mice. I was like, there's mice? They're mites.
I'm sorry, my mouth is just really dry. The bum piss. It's so bad. I can't. Can we film? Not. Let's get in the car. Let's get away from the river.
And a tank drives up. He's like, get in the car. We can just go down there away from the mites and the bum piss. I'm like, we need to evade the mites in the bum piss by going in your tank.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Then I guess I will. I love how Alex Jones almost throws up in Alex Jones' voice.
He does.
He does it.
We throw up in the same voice.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Well, it was aggressive.
Not always. Gerald throws up in a different. It sounds like a nesting bird. Like,
no. Ew, that's weird. I throw up like Alex Jones.
Do you?
Yes.
I go all in.
You know what I hate in films? Whenever someone throws up, usually if it's a woman, they don't want to be so gross. They just make it sound like a cough. Like, Who throws up like that? Yeah.
No.
It's a
For me,
like
it's
a
like
tube of toothpaste.
It's a 5-minute heave session.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, you're like,
Do you notice that though in films? It's always like like a cough. Who throws up like that? You don't need to be cute when you throw up. This is why most women aren't funny.
Now, I did see one guy throw up into a shot glass once.
Really?
Yeah, he went, huh, and then put it back, and then went back to dancing.
That must have been that's not a lot of throw up.
That's my friend Steven Wyburn. Yep, he did that.
Wow, good for him.
Yeah, he's a cop in Miami.
So this is just so you know, this is historic because this is the largest GOP-led city now in the country. There aren't many. I believe before this, Oklahoma City was the only city with like a Republican mayor.
Yeah,
but it's significantly
it's a large,
smaller.
big urban area.
This is a large city,
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. What do you think there, Joe?
So look, like a lot of the job growth in Dallas area has been caused by like suburbs, places where people have a little bit more land. It's a lot more conservative the minute you get out of the cities. That's a common story around the country, but probably more so in Texas with all of the different cities. In the city, very Democrat controlled, outside Republican. So I understand that there's pressure. I understand that there are people saying this guy wants to do a statewide race, maybe run for governor soon. You're not going to get that on the Democrat ticket, so go to the Republican side of the ledger and see if you can make some headway there. I just hope he brings conservative policies to that office. I don't want him just to be the same guy with a different label. And I fear that that's maybe what we'll have right now so that he can kind of advance his political career. So I know this sucks, but you have to take kind of a wait-and-see approach. Like, okay, what's your next policy that's going to be different than it maybe would
Maybe we can have him on the show. Let's see if people back in the control room, if we can
Yeah.
get, I keep wanting to say Adams. What's it? What is his name? It's Johnson. Johnson. Adams is the guy who's talking about New York's brand, and he's a very high-ranking member of the Turtles Club as well. So, Mayor Johnson. Let's have him on the show and let's see. You know what? I'm always willing to hear someone else, but I am I'm skeptically optimistic because if you look at the state of our cities across this country, they've never really gotten it right.
No.
But at least the Ukraine is doing well.
Only to smoke crack and bang hoes.
I gotta say, Ben, our friend, is a pretty good Smash Mouth. He does surprisingly good Smash Mouth.
I think that, by the way, I think Ukrainians are making so much money they're getting American mail-order wives now.
Are they?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's the other way around now,
You know you've made it when you can buy wives from other countries.
Sorry, Ukrainians. TikTok has a all sales are final return policy, so be very, very careful. And you have to crate ship that shit. Now, tomorrow, by the way, the debate strip, so there will be no show in the morning. We are doing the live fact check. I believe Nick DiPaolo is here, so that's 8:30 Eastern with the drinking game rules to follow. I don't know if we have those yet. If they've gone out, drinking game rules. We'll have some guests. We'll be live fact checking it. We'll give you our pregame and our postgame. And, of course, it's about 2 times longer if you are a member over there at MugClub.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun night.
And, Josh, where are you performing?
Summit City Comedy Club in Fort Wayne on the 19th of October.
All right. So we're going to continue here today. There's a segment that we've wanted to get to for a while. It's not the most topical, but I think it matters. It's about state flags being racist. It's just go with it. So if you want to continue watching this, we'll be taking your chat. If you're watching on Rumble right now, you just click that button right there, and you get to keep watching seamlessly every day through MugClub. You don't have to switch. You don't have to go to a whole new URL. Just loudwithcutter.com/MugClub if you're not watching on Rumble. But really, head on over and watch on Rumble. Rumble, hey, thank you genuinely. And make sure that, Chris, I never talk to them. You're the one who talks to them.
Yeah, that's true. I shame them mostly. Just
Chris, I guess because I don't know if I want to out their names or if they don't want anymore. But hey,
public.
Okay, Chris, Asaf, all of you guys, genuinely, and folks out there, retweet, let Rumble know. We appreciate you standing in the fire alongside with us. We've never been with a company who has these kinds of brass balls, and we understand that there are international governments right now who want to see Rumble go away. Understand the fight that you're up against, and you can support them just by watching on their platform as opposed to YouTube, or joining MugClub, or there are other people at Rumble who also have kind of like their equivalent to Patreon, but with MugClub, you get the entire umbrella. Thank you, Rumble. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Asaf. Genuinely, beyond the business relationship, it really does, it galvanizes all of us to see that you actually care and you actually practice what you preach. So Rumble, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you very much. We're going to talk about racist state flags. YouTube, piss off and eat a bag of, just cut it, eat a bag of